What's going on, everybody? It's Los here. We back on the throne of positivity where the first is last and the last is first. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and also the notification bell so you don't miss out on any upcoming videos. Hit the like button to help this ministry is the best thing that you can do so we could get this video out to people who really need the advice, the encouragement, and then also comment down below. It helps me a lot. I'm trying to engage with you guys more. It helps me not only with, knowing that it's valued, but also helps me know how can we improve. And then also we can do videos like this where there's questions and answers and you can see your question answered. So comment down below. Then thank you for everybody who has been supporting the ministry. You make this possible. This is a full-time ministry. If you would like to sow seed, please click one of the links in the description below. I truly appreciate all of you. Okay, so this video has been a long time coming. I appreciate everybody who has been commenting and just engaging with the community post, putting your questions so that we can know what is it that we need to answer here in this video. I'm gonna try to get through most of them and do my best to answer this from a biblical perspective and try to help you as much as possible. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into these interesting questions. So one of the first questions that we have here is, where do we meet potential partners? So this one, we have to understand that all these questions that I'm going to be answering is from a Christian perspective. I think that it's important that we are looking for Christians. So I want to establish from the get-go now, I don't believe in unequal yokes. I don't know why you would put yourself in a position to make your life that much harder or complicated. You are the savior of no one, not even yourself. So I don't know why you would want to put yourself in such a situation where you're going to set yourself up for failure. I mean, it's just not something that God wants you to do. To each their own. So where do you meet potential partners? I think it's important to start where you are going to be able to see somebody's character the most, in church. Now, if you're just a casual churchgoer and you're there every now and then, what are you looking for? How are you going to know the difference of who to look for and who not to look for? That's like a hard thing to do. So it's important that you are engaged yourself, that you are the man or woman of God yourself, that your own relationship with God is strong, consistent, and faithful, not perfect, but blameless, and that you're in right relationship with God, because the where is not even important at all, because it's like, if you don't know the voice of God, how are you going to be directed? And I know that these videos, the point of them here and then also other ministries, these videos are there to help you, but not to give you the answers, right? Because that comes from God. God is the one that you should really be knowing, that you should be spending years and years at a time, like developing that intimate relationship with God. And I know we don't want to hear that because we want our questions answered. We want the instruction, like, give me step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it's like, what relationship actually works like that? If I asked you, what is love? And you tell me this is what love is, the more you describe love, the farther away you get from it. So the same is true with our relationship with God. Is like, if you try to define it too much, you're moving away from it. So try to feel it out. Try to know God yourself and see what that looks like through his scripture, through church, through being under leaders, serving, seeking the Lord, being in community, and letting all these factors shape and mold you. And answering the question, like being in that community of believers, you're going to see, okay, if you're a guy or a girl, when you're looking for the other person, what are you looking for? Don't be betrayed by your own desires. Don't be betrayed by your own expectations or whatever it is, because you don't want to look at somebody for what they are on the outward. You need to be seeking individuals to put them through the test. Not that you're going to be doing this, but God is naturally going to do it, and you can do it in your own ways to see what is that person's character. Because the most obvious thing is already being projected to you, and that's their physical appearance. Fine. He's handsome. She's beautiful. Okay. What about when they're not beautiful anymore? What about when they're not handsome? because the point of marriage is we are committed. We are making a commitment. So be in a community of believers. You need to be where believers are. So wherever that is, if that's church, if that's a Christian concert, if that's a cafe or whatever, right? The gym, wherever you go, wherever you find yourself, look for Christian men and women. That's what you're looking for. And we're not talking about the John 3:16 bio people. Okay, I don't care what you're talking about. I don't care about what's the words that's coming out of your mouth. You know what I'm saying? I care about what is your character. And the best way to determine somebody's character, you need to see how they deal with problems. How do they deal with suffering? How do they deal with denial and rejection? That's going to tell you a lot. And if you can do that from a third person perspective and look at it from a distance where they don't even know that you're really watching them, you're going to see the truth about that individual. So hopefully that answers the question. Okay, the next question is, I always get this question. Are you married? Yes, I'm married, okay? I got my boo-boo. She's somewhere in my imagination, somewhere in my dreams and the vision, and her name is in the mind of God. The Spirit of the Lord knows the mind of God himself. So her image is guarded in the heart of God. So am I married? Yes, I'm married, okay? I wear this because I'm believing that one day God is going to bring this woman to me. He's going to do the impossible. I live my life as if I'm married because I've been married since I was born. I'm married and betrothed to the Lord, and I'm already walking this out. I have been walking this out for, the majority of my Christian life, and I am married. I have my boo-boo out there somewhere. I love you, girl. I can't wait till we get married. Where are you? Hello? Nah. But yeah, so the short answer, technically, I have to fill out my taxes and say no, okay? I still got to pay extra taxes to the government. So yes, that's the legal answer, but the spiritual answer and my heart is that woman has my heart. She has my body, my soul, my spirit. She has everything of me. She has all of me. So am I married? Yes. How do you feel about being active or passive in searching for a partner when waiting on God? So this depends on you. Everybody is different. Everybody knows where they are. I have determined within myself, I'm leaving this in the hands of God for as long as possible, that I could leave it in his hands in the most impossible way. And then I'm waiting for God to present opportunities to say, hey, do this. Hey, say this. Hey, wear this. I even pray about the clothes that I wear. If you're going to look for a partner, the more that you could leave it in God's hands, the more guaranteed you're going to be in the security of your relationship, because you didn't do this. So how are ways that you can be active? Hey, pray. Like I would pray to God, like, Lord, if it's your will, Lord, teach me what to wear. What color do you want me to wear? I'm not even joking. Every time I do a video or I'm at church or whatever, like I would pray like, Lord, hey, what color do you want me to wear? What outfit do you want me to wear? And I will go back and forth with the Lord. I will present options like, here's this outfit, here's that outfit. Help me choose. And God has shown himself faithful even in those details. So it's beautiful. Or like what to say, what to do. And I know this sounds so strange because it's like, well, then how do you know? Listen, you just know. This comes from sensitivity of the Spirit of the Lord. You start to be able to discern the will of God and his desires, his inclinations, his likes and his dislikes. You're going to know these things. So how active and how passive should you be? It depends on how much control you want to take. That's just the simple answer of it. And if you want to take control, then just don't be surprised of the results you're going to get. It's just that's what it is at the end of the day. Somebody said, what does it mean to have relationship with God but not with a church or religion? You don't have a relationship with God. You don't. And I got to say this as boldly and as straightforward as possible. There's no such thing as relationship with God, but not relationship with religion or church. And you could say religion is the enemy. No, it's not. No, it's not. Self-righteousness is the enemy of the Christian. It's not religion. Jesus didn't come to abolish religion. We have relationship, yes. Relationship is the cute and the cuddly, but the religion is the reality of everyday life. It's the mundane, it's the monotonous, it's still the things that we want to live. If you look at your relationship with God as a marriage, if you say that it's all about the relationship, it's all about being cute and it's all about cuddling and buying cotton candy and, farting unicorns, like, cool, that's cute. But anybody who's been in a real marriage or relationship, if you listen to people, that's not what sustains the marriage. What sustains the marriage is the mundane, it's the monotonous. How are we living with each other when things ain't so cute? Right? If I wake up in the morning and I'm like, hello, good morning, and then the green fumes is coming out because my breath smells like a dragon, right? Like, is she gonna love me like that? Like, can she still kiss me and then be like, yo, go brush your teeth nasty? You know what I'm saying? Like, what do we do when we're not all at our best? So if relationship to you is all about the highlights and what it is with you, and it's you centered, then that's a superficial relationship, because religion is what keeps us grounded. What are we doing? Are we praying when we don't feel like it? Are we fasting when we don't feel like it? Are we reading the word when we don't feel like it? Because this whole relationship over religion thing is, I gotta be honest, I'm kind of tired of hearing that rhetoric, because it makes no sense in regard to looking at it from the perspective of a true marriage. So if you say that you have a relationship with God, there's no way, because the word of God says in First John, it says, how can you love God who's invisible but hate your brothers and sisters that are visible? It doesn't make sense, guys. You are not called to be a Christian to be in relationship with God alone. You are called to God to be in relationship with him through his people. You can't have a relationship with God if you are cut off from the body of Christ. If you have no religion, if you have no church, you have no relationship. It just doesn't work, because then you become a God unto yourself. Nobody can challenge you. Your word is law. You don't need the church, so you don't need to learn how to sacrifice. If Jesus said, I need to wash your feet, and no student is greater than the master, how do you absolve yourself from the responsibility of having to wash the feet of others? Romans 12 is a good indication of what it means to be a true Christian. That's that subsection is called the marks of a true Christian. And you'll see the things that Paul is breaking down and laying out for us in a very obvious way. Like, hey, how can you do this if you're not part of a body? You can't, because iron sharpens iron. It's like we need the exchange of the others. It's like our relationship to trees is the same thing that we have with other people. We need that community. By me releasing the carbon dioxide into the air, the tree takes that and converts that to energy. It creates it back to oxygen. And there's this reciprocal relationship that's happening on the basis of just being near each other. So I'm giving life to the tree and the tree is giving life back to me. That's just on the basis of proximity. Now there could be even greater benefit to that relationship if I till the ground, if I take care of the tree, if I prune the tree, if I give it nutrients. That tree could bear me fruit. You know what I'm saying? And the tree is being taken care of. This is the exchange that happens in the community and the church. And this is why, just going to church is not enough. You need to serve. You need to be involved. You need to demonstrate that you're grateful for what Christ did for you. Because how can you say you're grateful if you're just sitting there like, oh man, this is a good sermon. Yeah, oh, okay, cool. Let me write notes. Let me get out of here and we're done. Like, you need to demonstrate that by doing what Jesus did. He said, if you love me, you'll keep my commands. What's the greatest compliment if not replicating the things that Jesus did? You need to do that in the church. Somebody asked, how could a man prepare for his wife and children? What are the bare minimum requirements prior to having them? This is a question that is very dynamic. I know we're talking about financial here, but you need to have a job, some type of income. It doesn't have to be a traditional job if you're a business owner or whatever it is. As long as you have some type of income, that woman is going to take that and help you multiply it. Whatever you give that woman, she's going to multiply it. And you need a lot less than what people are selling you a dream about in this country. When I think about my daughters, I've said this before, I'm not so concerned with what that man has. I'm looking for his potential, because that's what my daughters should be looking for. They should be seeing, okay, I'm not so focused on the man that is in front of me. I need to see who he will be in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. Can this man take care of me alone, on his own? Can he stand on his 2 feet? Does he have vision? Does he have mission? Does he have a relationship with God? And not just a relationship with God. Like that's like so basic. Is he in a thriving relationship with God? Is his inhalation and exhalation, everything he lives, breathes, thinks about is God? Like that's what's needed, is the spiritual, the physical, and then the financial. But when it comes to the financial, that's not as clear cut as we want to make it seem. 2 incomes are better than one, right? If you guys can come together, 2 jobs are going to be better than one. But when it comes time to start having a family, brother, you should start promoting yourself and elevating yourself, going for more and more so that you can allow this woman to live at home. You know, this whole deception that our society has created for us, women don't want to work. I don't want to hear that whole girl boss nonsense. Like, women do not want to work, bro. Maybe in the beginning, maybe in their single years, but the most fulfilling life a woman will ever have is at home with her children. Like, raising children is what women are created to do, and men are created to die for that to be able to happen. So what do you need? You need grit. You need strength. You need resilience. You need perseverance. You need a vision. You need to be communicating with God to give you direction and instruction. You need to be a teacher and a leader. That's really what's important. And just look at the past videos that I've been putting out. I've been trying to demonstrate it more than just talk about it. Be a leader and be a teacher. I always wonder, like, I always talk about what my wife has taught me, and she has taught me some amazing things, even not even being part of my life yet, in this long distance spiritual relationship that we have between God and us. You know, it sounds so crazy, like an imaginary relationship, but it's not imaginary. It's real. It's more real than the reality we exist in. But I always wonder, I'm like, man, am I a successful teacher? I wonder, what have I taught that woman? Because I'm trying to teach her. I'm trying to demonstrate to her, this is my character, and put it on display, all weakness, all like goofy corniness, everything. You know, I just want to be myself and be as authentic as possible. So I'm presenting all of me, and I'm trying to be as real as possible, so there's nothing hidden, so that she can make the determination, like, okay, that man, I see him here. I love what I see. And I even see further than that. I'm falling in love with the future too. So that's something that I think is important. And that leads me to the next question is, somebody asked, how can you build trust? And I think it's basically what I've been trying to do is, in order for somebody to trust you, they're taking a risk. They're sacrificing their fear in order to trust, right? You can't trust while fearing. It doesn't work like that, because trust is confidence. Now, there is fear present in courage. Courage is just doing things anyways. So there could be the aspect of like, I don't know, but I'm going to choose to trust anyways. It's a decision. So what I love about trust, and this is why it's so important to me, is that by me presenting my authentic self, I just want to put it all on the table for my wife. Because if I put it all on the table, me being a man, leading first and going to the depths of this, I'm allowing her to make the decision. When people are authentic, it allows you to be authentic. And I've mentioned this before, like, I feel like I'm coming out of my shell more and more, because this woman is drawing it out of me. She's drawing it out of me. The Bible says deep calls unto deep. The depths of my soul are being called by the depths of her soul. If you've ever seen physics, I know this is like a weird thing to talk about, but if you ever seen the way that time, space, and matter exists on a plane with a graph, like the lines this way and the lines that way, and how they describe gravity, if you put a big ball in the middle, it brings the fabric of space and matter downwards, and it pulls things into it. That's what gravity is. So that's what authenticity does. So her depths are calling to my depths and is drawing us close. So I have to, as a man, be willing to sacrifice despite the fear of rejection and denial. And you as a man, don't be afraid of rejection and denial from a woman. She has to test you. She has to see, how do you deal with the word no? Because are you willing to conquer her? I believe women do want to be conquered. They want to see a man run through the mud, go through the barbed wire, fight the lions, fight the crocodiles, kill all threats in the area, like defeat giants, come against all opposition as high as the walls that she has built up. She wants you to scale those walls and go through the impossible for her, because she needs to know that she can rely on you. Why is it that she has all these measures built up around her? Is to protect her, because the innocence of a woman, the purity of a woman, is worth more than rubies and gold and silver and any possession that you can have. It's worth more than all of that. So the tenderness of her heart, the softness of her soul is worth protecting in that way. And only God will allow you to conquer that. Or if she, mistakenly allows that, because we've all been in that position. But she needs to see, how do you deal with resistance? You need to be able to overcome these trials and tribulations to prove yourself, because a man has to prove himself. It's just a simple reality. She needs to know how you deal with rejection, because that's what children do. Like her motherly instincts needs to be there. And how you deal with rejection is going to determine who you are. Like, how are you going to deal with our children? If you don't know how to deal with denial and rejection, when this kid is throwing a tantrum, are you going to throw a tantrum too? You don't know how to overcome that so that you could deal with these kids, because you're the discipline. You're the authority. So if you're the discipline and you're the authority, but you don't know how to deal with rejection and denial, then what authority do you have, right? So these are things that we have to know. And that's all dealing with trust, right? Because if she can see that you're able to do these things, then it allows her to anticipate, not lower her walls herself, but maybe she'll climb the wall and meet you at the top or something. I don't know. But it's beautiful when that authenticity is allowed to be flourished, because it's an environment that allows for the maximum growth. And this goes to the next thing is, somebody asked, I'm losing interest. How do I get it back? Something that we have to recognize with this is that we're making a commitment. Okay. I'm making a commitment to that woman. And no matter what, I am committed to her. So this whole, I'm losing interest, well, let me start looking elsewhere, or I'm losing interest. First of all, her and I have to be real with each other. We have to recognize, okay, babe, we're going to be on fire for the first 2 years. Hormonally, that's just true. By the design that God created us, our hormones after the first year taper off. By the second year, they almost drop off a cliff, because it's like God... Love is obsession. In all reality, love is obsession. There is no difference between, I know this sounds crazy. There's no difference between love and like some psychotic behavior, because there's obsession. Love takes you to the point of like absurdity. It takes you to absurdity. Like, why am I on her pictures from 2008? Like, it don't make sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, why have I seen all her posts? Why am I looking at all her videos on Instagram and all this other stuff? It's because you're in love. The hormones within you are raging, and it's like you can't get enough, right? And who knows, like one thing that I learned about women is that they gonna investigate. What a woman is interested in, she is going to investigate, brother. So you better believe that she knows more about you than you know about her, bro, because she ain't just silent, cute, and in the corner for no reason. That woman is analyzing every single piece and part of you, bro. So she's gonna know you. She's gonna pick up on the littlest things about you. And that's beautiful, because that's what love does. The hormones are raging. It's to lower our defenses and bring us closer. But the more and more that I learn about hormones in regard to the design of God, I'm so fascinated by marriage even more and more. Because initially what God gives us is the honeymoon phase. It's the 2 years that it's intense. Like it's supernatural, the love that you experience in the first 2 years of marriage, of cuddling, of being cute, and all these other things, and the physical union that deepens that even more. So you can understand how beautiful the design of God is. So again, there's no difference between the people who are in a mutual consented relationship and like psychotic behavior, because you overlook and do the craziest thing. Like a man who's truly in love, this is why I always say that the mark of a true man of God that is interested in you, he's gonna move heaven and hell to get to you, beloved. Like women, a man who knows what he wants, if God said, listen, your wife is over here on the other side of the world, and if you can get to her, I'm going to give you her as my wife. Beloved, if I have to walk to China right now, you better believe I'm going to walk to China. And while I am on my way, I'm going to be learning how to speak Chinese. So when I get to my woman, I'm going to be talking to my little chinita. You know what I'm saying? So boo boo. You know what I'm saying? I'm coming for you. Nah. So there's these hormones that develop, serotonin, dopamine, all these things that oxytocin, that's a little bit deeper in the relationship. They help you get together, right? And it's the fire, the passion. But then after those 2 years, God is like so curious. And I've been studying this. I'm like, why is it that it tapers off? Like, I know why biologically, but it doesn't even make sense from a scientific perspective. But then from a spiritual perspective, when you consider God, why that happens, it's so fascinating, because what happens is God now puts the responsibility on you. Now the responsibility is, okay, this is what the relationship could be. Not at the intensity all the way up, but what's possible. God is letting you set the standard so high so that you know this is the aim that we can go for. We shouldn't settle. But we should recognize that that's an ideal. That's not a reality. We're going to go in the book of Revelation. When God rebukes the 7 churches, he rebukes all the churches almost except for one. And that's the Ephesians. He says, you have done well, but this I have against you. You have abandoned your first love. It's interesting that he uses the language first love, because the first love is the passion, it's the fire, it's the intensity, it's the intention. All right, all these little problems, they're not what we think they are. They're not as backbreaking and relationship defining as we think. And that's what love is. They always say love is blind, right? Like, no, love is not blind, but those hormones will make you overlook the things that don't matter. Think about the way that God sees you. Does he see you with all your problems? Like, oh, look at the way he does this. Oh, look at the way she's doing that. Oh, she did this before. She did that before. If you can think about first love and how you're just so in the air, like you feel like you're floating, you see that person in a light that you wouldn't otherwise. And that's why God calls us to the first love, is because he wants us to see the good of each other. And that's what we need to remember at all times. These things are going to wane. When those hormones go down, then, okay, now all of a sudden, all the things that I don't like are going to come up. But I have to remember, okay, this isn't about me. So if I'm losing interest, it's like, listen, am I that interesting of a person to be like, oh, well, I'm not that interested in her. I'm not that attracted in her. Well, again, the fire is going to go up and down. Maybe you're boring. Maybe you're the boring one. It's not her. It's not him. You're the boring one. Anybody who says, oh, this is boring doesn't understand the purpose of boring. You know why things get boring? So that you could spark your imagination, man. So you could be creative. The reason we don't understand boredom in our civilization and our society anymore is because of this, unfortunately. It's because of the cameras, the social media. It's because of the dopamine hits. We have an oversaturation of dopamine that we don't even understand. That's what helps us understand pleasure, is dopamine. So if I'm constantly oversaturated and I'm scrolling, I'm getting dopamine hits everywhere. I don't understand boredom. So boredom, me losing interest, me or her losing attraction, it's not a thing for concern. It's like, I'm losing interest. It's time to spice things up. It's time for me to be more interesting, not worry about is she interesting or if she looks at me like he's boring. No, it's time to get the creative juices flowing. All right, you know what? Things are boring. We've been doing the same routine every single day. Yo, boo, let's go to the mountain. Let's meet at the mountaintop. Let's have a picnic up there. Let's do something different. Let's get out of the ordinary. Because anything that you see as boring that's a reflection of you more than the person. So if you think things are boring, then do interesting things. Because I've learned this from children, right? This is why I love children and I respect them for who they are. I don't lessen children because they are children. I go to their level. When you go to the level of a child, you see how interesting children truly are. They're not boring. They are fascinating little creatures and monsters, because the little monsters, bro. The little monsters. Let's just say that. You reduce yourself to the level of the child and you make it more about the other person. I guarantee you things are going to be fascinating. Like one of my greatest things, and I know I'm belaboring the point, but I know this is such a thing in our culture. I have to get to it. Like one of my favorite things is to try to find interesting things about other people. And this lifelong commitment with my wife is like, yo, I need to see, okay, what is going on? Let me find interesting things with her. If there's things that I like that she doesn't do anymore, instead of being like, oh, you don't do this anymore. You don't rub my big toe like you used to. Stop. So stupid. Maybe instead of telling her like, oh my God, you don't rub my back like before. It's like, babe, you remember the way they used to rub my back? Like, yo, your hands are so soft, ma. Oh man, you do it in a way that you're the best masseuse in the world, mommy. Like, you gotta build people up, don't tear them down. If you ever want somebody to do something for you, and we're not talking about manipulation, we're talking about persuasion. This is what rhetoric is. It's the ability to use the available means to persuade. So if somebody's not doing something that you would like them to do, then you have to make them confident and feel like it's to their benefit to do it. It's like, dang, mommy, your hands on my back, girl. You make the chills go up my back. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, girl, you looking so fine. You know what? Like just build her up. Like, you got to build people up and kind of coax them, like woo them into doing these things, because nobody wants to be enemies. Nobody wants to be told what to do. Nobody likes that. Like, even if you're right, nobody wants that. So I'm talking about interest. You need to spice things up. You need to be interesting. You got to be creative. Spice it up. Make it interesting. Don't do the same things all the time. Be cute. Go to the park. Spark the fire. Continue to build up that intimacy. That's your responsibility. And we got to understand we're in this for life. So we have to figure this out somehow. Okay, this was an interesting one. How do you navigate the expectations of in-laws and extended family in a marriage? That needs to be established up front. My parents and your parents are exactly that. Our parents. They are not our spouse and they are not our children. So will we take care of them if they ever need something? Absolutely. Absolutely. If my wife ever asked me, can my mom and dad live with me? They're at an old age, whatever. I'll pray to God, like, Lord, help us have an outhouse that they could live with us, or whatever, enough room that we can have them. Or even if my parents need that, in later stages of life, absolutely. We need to take care of our parents. But that my parents or her parents are going to impose themselves in our relationship, I'm going to say this right now. My authority has to be respected. Her authority has to be respected. And boundaries have to be set. So you guys are going to figure that out together. But it can't feel like they're invading our relationship, because this is between her and I, not between us and our parents. Right? That needs to be a distance relationship, but with intimacy and love. So, and we can't be allowing, there's some sneaky ways, especially in Latino families, that they like to try to influence over relationships in a subtle way. And it's going to be like, look, we're going to have a conversation so that the expectations are set between our parents. We have to have that conversation between ourselves and with our parents. And when things are not acceptable, we need to communicate that with our partner, because that can't be imposing. It can't feel like they live with us literally, like they're always in our business, they're always in our home. Like, and one thing we should never do is go to our parents about the problems we're having in our relationship. You never want to do that. You never want to do that. And you want to know why? Because you're going to get over it, but they're never going to get over it. And now all of a sudden you're all good. And it's like, oh, man, boo-boo, I love you so much. And then what? I was telling my mom all about her. Now I'm all cuddling, cute. We done reconciled our little problems, but then my mom is all bitter. Or then the same thing with her parents. Like, you can't do that. You can't talk about your problems with your parents. You can ask for advice, but you can't highlight the faults of your person to your parents or your in-laws. Somebody asked, how do you maintain and define boundaries in a relationship? It needs to be through mutual agreement. The man is responsible for protecting the holiness and innocence of that woman, like I said. And he needs to be so thoroughly involved in protecting that woman almost has like no thought to it at all. Now, women, you don't be ignorant. That's not what I'm saying. Is that he has to be so thoroughly a protector of your purity that you shouldn't even have to think about it. But you should think about it. You need to set the boundaries, because before a relationship is ever had, like I said before, a woman's word is law. There's no negotiation. She says no, bro, is no. That's it. End of discussion. If you want to come back and try again later, you know, she says she don't want to do something. She don't want to go places. She don't want to, you know, she's not willing with your approach. Reformulate, reconvene, seek the Lord, pray, and ask him to give you the key to her heart. But you can't be pushing on things that, you know. And then within the marriage, I don't think there's any limits. There's no limits in the marriage as far as what you would agree to. You guys have to agree on what are the boundaries, what are the limits. And when it comes to communication, I think that we need to communicate. We need to create a space where both parties feel heard and are not afraid of communicating. Because one thing that I never want from my wife is for her to compromise her own consciousness. Like, okay, I really want to tell him that I don't like when he says certain things, but I don't want to say it because I don't want to bother him. Nah, mommy, I want you. You are fierce. You are a lion, beloved. I love you so much and your voice is precious to me. If there's something that I'm doing and you don't like it, obviously you should care about my feelings. So it's not just like, oh, you know, your big old head, I don't like the way you shave. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's all about the approach. So whatever is the concern, hey, boo, babe, this is what I'm thinking. I really don't like that. I want us to get better. I like when you do this instead. And it's like, okay, I can respect that. Let me change. And if the opposite is true and I don't like something, if we're going to set an expectation, then the expectation has to be on ourselves that we need to give time for people to change, because we don't change. We're habitual creatures. So if I'm going to fail, I'm going to repeatedly fail over and over and over again. So whatever is expected to change, we just have to have an expectation that we both are going to try our best to do our best, but the other person bringing the change has to give enough time for it to be implemented. So I want to have such a safe space in my home that I want my woman to be secure, to communicate her needs. Hey, I don't feel like you're loving me in the way that I want you to love me. I don't feel like you kiss me like you used to. You don't hug me the way you used to. You don't hold my hand in public anymore. You know, you don't do this or you do this or whatever, right? Like, I want her to feel free and liberated, because if she feels free and liberated, she's going to give me the best of herself. She's going to even develop in ways she never knew possible. And that's what I've learned over these last few videos and weeks. It's like, I'm becoming somebody I never knew was possible because of that woman of my dreams. So I'll do like one or two more questions, and then in what ways can relationships be strengthened by overcoming adversity together? That's an amazing one, because I said that appreciation is the beauty of life and suffering is the substance of that appreciation. And this is what I want to tell my wife. Suffering is the beauty of appreciation. So Like the good times are going to be good and great times. I always say the cute, cuddly, all that first love stuff is amazing. But what gives that emphasis is how we go through suffering together. And without having my wife in front of me, I always think about her. If she ever has a question in the day, I wonder if he's thinking about me. Boo, I want to give you confidence right now and let you know I love you so much. I'm thinking about you from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to sleep and everything in between through the glory of God. So be confident in that. I'm always thinking about you. And I can't wait to be united. And something that I always think about is like, I want to know about her. I want to know about the intimate details of her life. I want to know what are her insecurities, what are her weaknesses, and how can I strengthen and build her up. And I want to go through life with her. I want to suffer with her. And I know that sounds crazy, but I'm not just looking forward to kissing her and loving her and becoming one with her, but I'm looking forward to really doing life with her. I want our stories to converge and be one. I want our song to be one beat, one lyric, one author, one artist, like him. And I want to suffer with her. I want to know what it feels like to go through pain and have her by my side, to mourn with those who mourn, to rejoice with those who rejoice. I want to cry with her in my arms. I want her to cry on my chest as I hold her and reassure her and tell her, babe, I know you can't see it right now. And as impossible as it is, God is going to get us through this. We have been anointed for this. We came to set the captives free. We were called for this. I was called to set you free, my love. So I'm going to make sure that we get through this, that we rise above, that we come out on the other side with God. I can't wait to suffer. I can't wait to go through depression with her. I can't wait to be sorrow, mourning. I can't wait to hurt, for my heart to be broken. I can't wait for our conflict. I can't wait for our disagreements. I can't wait till she corrects me and says, I don't like the way you're doing this. I won't accept that from you. These are my expectations. I can't wait for that. Because if you think about it in our own relationship with God, it's like God says he loves those he corrects. So it's the opposite things, the things that we shirk away from that give true intimacy. So like all that suffering is going to make us really coming together be that much more beautiful. That union, when we kiss, is going to mean so much more. Holding hands, cuddling, loving, our union together, the most intimate acts, all of that is going to be beautiful because it's based in suffering. That suffering threatened all of that. And because the threat never fulfilled, God's promises are yes and amen. And he establishes himself. All these other good things. Now all of a sudden the sun shines brighter after it rains. The earth smells beautiful after the dew. It's amazing. So I know this video is already long and we didn't get to all the questions. If I didn't get to your question, I'm so sorry. Please put comments down below. I'll try to make a part 2 of this. I know I really went deep on certain things, but I hope you guys understand where I'm coming from. And then to my wife, like I'm trying to educate myself as much as possible so that I'm not a clueless man and directionless, that I actually have a vision, a mission, a plan. And even if we don't know what we're doing, we'll figure it out because we've been trying, right? Like, so, when we meet at the altar, it's not that we have the expectation of perfection. He's the only perfect one, and he's the higher good that we're aiming at. So there's no pressure on you. I do have expectations, right? Because that's dumb to say I don't have expectations. I have expectations, but not debilitating expectations. And you already far exceed my expectations. Let's be real. But I look forward to coming together with this woman. I can't wait to be one with her, and I can't wait to figure out all these questions with her. You know what I mean? So, but anyways, guys, hopefully these things give you a lot to think about, and it helps you in your own relationships and your relationship with God. So look forward to part 2. We'll get into that as well. And we'll see. We'll go from there. So y'all know what it is. It's Los here. We're on the throne of positivity where nobody shall dethrone us. If you'd like to support the ministry, click one of the links in the description below. Babe, love you, boo. Peace. Doses.